Hey guys, it's Polly with the Polly Nation, another episode. Sorry, so it's really hard to get these episodes out because my time constraints, but I want to show you what I do for preparing my garden. Now, I used to till, and I'm not against tilling. Matter of fact, I can show you some of my produce from when I tilled versus not tilling, and really there is no difference because it's basically what you feed your plant. And so whatever you till, if you're going to till something up and you're going to basically just destroy everything that nature created, you have to replace it with something. And that's what I always did was when I would till is I would replace it with some carbon, and I would replace it with, of course, worm castings, and I would do the compost tea or worm castings tea. And what I'm doing now, just because of time constraints for me, is that it saves me a lot of time just to lay out a bunch of carbon. And nature is very dependent upon carbon. Of course, you know, when there's a forest or woods or prairies or meadows or anything, mountains, anything you can think of, everything that grows that year and then dies within that year is renewed, and it goes down into a living soil. Some people call it regenerate, but I just call it living soil because that's what it is. It's living soil, like our bodies. Our bodies are a living system, and it's always regenerating. So I just call it a living system, and soil is alive. That's the difference between dirt and soil. But not to rabbit trail too much, but it's the system now that I am starting to incorporate myself is leaves, because they break down really quick, much better than wood chips do. Now, there's nothing wrong with wood chips. Wood chips are great. Wood chips are awesome because there is so much energy locked up inside of wood chips that it's a very slow release process. And I have some wood chips over here that are actually, whoops, I got caught, actually about 4 years old, and it's almost like dirt. I mean, you can see the wood chips, but you can also see that really dark dirt, and it's kind of half wood chips and half dirt. And that, gosh, that stuff's perfect. So I love wood chips. Nothing against wood chips, and I still use wood chips. I use a combination of wood chips, leaves, and grass clippings, because you can see out here I've just got so much grass that I can cut from, and then I can throw it here along with my leaves. And I got grass clippings, I got leaves, I've got, you know, anything, stuff that you buy. I mean, you can walk into your convenience store and you can buy anything that can break down. Cardboard. When you bag your leaves, this is what grew from last year. You know, I got watermelon, kitchen scraps that we use. This is 2021, and you got to start thinking inflation, you know, because you got inflation, you have shrinkflation, you have high gas prices, you got just the price of food is out of control. And what my wife has done is, that's one of our sunflowers, all these eggshells, what my wife has done is dehydrated eggs. Whipped them up, dehydrated it, turned it to a powder, and I can show you pictures here. I'll show you some pictures. You can just dehydrate your eggs and make eggs like they just Came out of a chicken's rear end. It's pretty cool. But, you know, pretty much dehydrating a lot of stuff is what we do. You dehydrate, you can, you just save in a cool spot like Grandma and Grandpa did back in the day, you know, in their cellar. So I've just started like several piles of leaves. Here I have another pile. I'd say it's about 3 feet tall by about 10 feet wide. And I just love using and if you got goats and chickens, you know, you throw that stuff in there too. And if you do it in fall, it's ready by springtime. It's all had a process to really neutralize and turn into something really soil nutrient, plant nutrient for your plants, for your microbes, for your macrobes. And anytime I talk about microbes, I also talk about the macrobes too, because the bugs are in there and they're feeding on that carbon. And the microbes consume the bug poop, and then you have a wonderful plant food. Plant food. It's a little chilly out here. That's why it's and windy. That's why it's hard to find time to even do some of these videos. But they just start feeding on microbes. Microbes feed on other microbes, and you just get a really nutrient-dense living soil. And it's what I explain a lot about in this book, Brown Thumb, Green Thumb. And you know, some people are like, but you know, I like to use a fertilizer, you know, of you know, 5, 10, or 10, 15, something or other. It just gets really confusing because every plant is unique and it's different and it has its own needs. And that's why when you use carbon, leaves, wood chips, dead grass, just carbon, cardboard, whatever, that becomes food. And then the sunlight begins the process of photosynthesizing in the plant, and the plant starts producing the sugars that the soil needs for nitrogen. And it's like, well, I need something high in nitrogen. That's fine, you can do that. But the more sunlight you can feed your plant, the more nitrogen that is going into your soil, because the plant has the ability to bring the carbon dioxide up into the leaf, and through the Calvin cycle, six cycles, it takes that process, turns that gas, the carbon dioxide gas, into a carbon solid. It goes straight down into the soil, feeds sugars to the plant, or to the microbes, excuse me, which the microbes start multiplying, bacteria and fungi and nematodes, and you know, bacteria, all the protozoa, all that, and then you get wonderful plant nutrients, a living soil. It's just a community that is just, it's so simple yet it's very complicated. It's hard to explain, but yet it's simple. And that's why I wrote this book, Brown Thumb, Green Thumb. And I've got all the links down below so you can check it out. But I wanted to show you really what I do for the fall. And I've been doing this for a couple of years now. But what I do for the fall is I get all my leaves, and you can use your goat manure, chicken manure, and then you can put them down in here and you can cover it up, or you can just, what I'm going to do is spread everything out here in my garden, just like you would in wood chip gardening, or you know, spreading anything out, straw. If it's natural straw, you know, you got to be careful where you get this stuff from, because of the chemicals that are used on it. But then you just make a really wonderful moisture blanket, and it's food, and it's food for your soil and everything that's living in there, the worms, which I'm a huge proponent of. You know that because of the Worm Farming Revolution book that I wrote. And if you were to ask me, well, what's better? What's better? Is it to use the carbon like you do, or is just can I till everything and then add it? You can do whatever is easiest for you. That's what I recommend, doing whatever's easiest for you, because whatever you take out, you must replace, because it's all about wherever you plant your seed or your seedling, it's about what you feed your plant, and that's very important, whether it's indoors or outdoors. My wife has 60 plus plants indoors, and they all get they all have their special needs, and that's another thing I talk about in the book is growing indoors and the type of lighting that you need. So it just depends on what you're feeding your plant's needs. So every plant is different, but specific to gardening is different. When you're growing fruit, instead of like plants or growing something like greens aren't quite as dependent on large amounts of sun as you would say tomatoes, watermelon, cantaloupe, cucumbers, because they're producing large amounts of fruit. And the way I do it is that I like to grow the large fruit, the high yields, and the very healthy, nutrient-dense vegetation. So gardening needs, on those specific plants that I've talked about, needs a lot of sun. So you need a lot of sunlight. You need that photosynthesis. So spinach, kale, those things are a little bit different. They don't need quite as much sunlight. So so that's kind of basically what I do, and I wanted to show you this video. We had so much food that we couldn't dehydrate everything, we couldn't can everything, we couldn't eat everything because it was more than what we could keep up with. But that's what you want, right? You want to be able to give most of that stuff away, whatever you can't use. Either take it to the farmer's market or sell it or somehow, or just give it to people, because if you don't give it away, it's just going to rot. Of course you can always recycle it and use it again next year, and it can go into your soil and feed your plants for next year. So that's basically what I'm going to do right now, is take all of this. I've got a pile here, I've got a pile here, I've got a pile over there, and I've got a pile here. I got two piles actually. And I'm just going to spread it all over the garden using my mower that I've rigged up here with this plow, and then a little bit of elbow grease. So anyway, I hope you found this video somewhat helpful, but there will be some more videos to come, and this I kind of explained on one video, but I'm going to explain it again a little bit. I was very disappointed in the manufacturer of the covering of this greenhouse. The sun completely ate up the polycarbonate, and I mean it was so brittle, and that's what happens with plastic in the sun. It was so brittle, it's like, and it got thousands of 5-star reviews. So disappointed, and they're going to hear from me. So anyway, that's it, and I'll see you next video, and I'll show some of this leaf and grass and kitchen scrap spreading out. All right.